If you've ever been afraid to start a creative project, if you ever thought you weren't worthy of starting your own YouTube channel, or that it just was going to be too much, this episode is for you. Because yes, you can start your own YouTube channel at the drop of a hat. How do I know this? Because I myself have done it. Alright, so for this video, I'm going to talk about how I actually started this YouTube channel using generative AI. Like all great things in life, the Promptsmith's Almanac started with a prompt. I believe my initial goal was to see how I could create something of substance with media. The thought was, what are some different avenues to do that? And although I hadn't fully settled on one, the YouTube channel definitely was a compelling idea. So I thought, okay, if I were to start a company using AI, I'm not super confident in my product design game as of yet. That's one of the things I look to improve with this channel, and holding myself accountable to learn AI. Okay, I have a background in film production. I've taught myself aspects of music production. I've podcasted before. If I lean into that, there are different ways I could monetize it from there. And ChatGPT had a few ideas for monetization as well, some of which I was pretty on board with, others not so much. But that first prompt was huge, just kind of getting the ball rolling. And that's the great thing about LLMs is it's kind of like the idea was always there in your head. You just had to have a tool, like a brush, like you're dusting off a fossil. That's a big thing. I think it's Stephen King who says that, where writing a novel is like brushing off a fossil, because the elements of it were always there. But what it takes is having the tools and the patience to be able to work through it. And I think patience is the biggest thing. I've said it a lot of times, and I'll continue to say it. When you're prompting, when you're working with AI, you got to be patient, you got to be thorough. So what ChatGPT did was it said, okay, you could look into having a product be developed, and then building a base of followers potentially. And I'll break this down further, but the media idea is what stuck, and I want to utilize different forms of media given my experience with podcasting, given my experience with video production, given that I'm also a writer, or at least consider myself one. I guess anyone can call themselves a writer. So I want to implement those aspects, but I wanted to think in terms of systems as well, because I have found that the more consistent you are, the more successful you're likely to be in whatever venture you're looking at doing. So I don't want to have a week or two that go by where I'm just like, yeah, I got nothing this week, because that's gonna ultimately be my downfall. Again, if I'm, Charlie Munger fan, inverting here, it's like, what would cause people to not want to engage in learning about AI with me, practicing AI with me? It would be inconsistency. It would be, I think it's okay for me to look stupid on this channel, and I think I will quite a bit, but I have to still own that and provide value as well. And if I don't do that, then yeah, the people aren't going to stick around to listen to me yammer on about ChatGPT or Claude or whatever resource. So I have to hold myself accountable to that and to you all. And so I encourage you to help me do that. Main goal for this is for this to be a learning experience, honestly. I am by no means an expert. I did have a conversation with ChatGPT about that. I'll share the results at some point. But I am somebody who's excited about the possibilities of AI, because anyone who dismisses it offhand, I've found dismisses it usually from a place of fear, like this thing's coming for my job. Well, not if you learn to work with it. So yeah. So that's where we're at currently. I'm not sure if I'm parked in a handicapped spot, so I'm gonna back it on up, because that wouldn't be ethical. And that's a big thing with AI, is making sure things are ethical. So I'm gonna walk the extra 10 feet. But yeah, in short, hold me accountable. I'll have a more thorough breakdown when I conclude my workday and share more of the prompting that led to the formation of this channel. All right, so as promised, I'm going to take you under the hood here and share how the YouTube channel came to be in about an hour through prompting with ChatGPT. So the prompt I wrote out, one of your book recommendations for my entrepreneurial journey. I asked ChatGPT for book recommendations all the time, which if you're not doing that yet, it's a good idea. The Almanac of Naval Ravikant, I read that, I loved it. He discusses building digital products and having like kind of a media empire as being a decent path to financial sustainability. So I asked GPT to give me a list of 5 ideas for digital products and 5 topics for a media quote-unquote empire. Okay, so I also need a map and a timeline for getting started as soon as possible, and ideas for marketing and promotion as well, although those aren't quite as important. So I'm also asking ChatGPT to go against its very affirmative, rah-rah self and be a wise but friendly contrarian in the vein of Charlie Munger, who was one of my favorite people, Warren Buffett's business partner before he passed away a couple years ago. Tell me why I'm out of my damn mind with this ask, and what I should be doing with my spare time to generate wealth and obtain peace of mind instead. Okay, let's dive in. Digital product ideas. We got an AI-powered story development toolkit. All right, that sounds kind of interesting. Smart brevity prompt builder. I'm sure somebody's already working on that though, so I'm gonna pass on that. Fitness and cognitive care app. I don't know enough about fitness and wellness to go that route, but that could be a good idea for someone out there watching this. Fundraising playbook for nonprofits. A comprehensive system of scripts, emails, automations. Yeah, I think that could be beneficial, and I might flag that somewhere down the line. Same with the indie film nonprofit in a box. I think that could be cool, and that could kind of reimagine what the film industry looks like for independent film, of course. All right, now for the media empire ideas, regional renaissance, stories from overlooked American towns. That might be someone else. If anyone wants to be Rick Seaback, there you go. Second Act Founders, a podcast for 30 to 50-year-olds rediscovering entrepreneurship after other careers. Man, 30 is that old? Ouch. Smarter Than the Dread, blog newsletter helping thoughtful, politically anxious citizens make rational, hopeful choices. Rational choices. Oh, you've got a sense of humor, ChatGPT. Dad Builds an Empire, a grounded narrative-style vlog/blog showing a married parent bootstrapping a digital product/media brand, balancing kids' career and wild ambition. Sounds like a lot of YouTubers I know. All right, last one here, the Promptsmith's Almanac. There it is. The birth of this channel. This is the conception, the moment of conception. Weekly video/blog showcasing advanced prompting techniques with use cases across fundraising, storytelling, coaching, therapy, etc. What I loved about this right away was how I can have it both ways. I can go very broad in the sense that my various interests I can indulge, but there's a common niche thread running through all that, and that is using AI tools to arrive at that destination. Great, perfect, love that. So, okay, here's the contrarian critique. All right, Charlie Munger from the grave. Josh, you're out of your damn mind if you think you can think your way into wealth. Well, Charlie, isn't that what Warren does or did? Sat on his ass and thought? Just saying. Here's the rub. Digital leverage is real, but so is your biological reality. You're married with kids, a full-time job, and emotional bandwidth is a finite resource. Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that. Most people consume novels' advice like candy but never execute. Why? Because they're scared to look stupid or waste time. So if you're watching this and you feel like you want to do something, but you don't want to look stupid, you don't want to waste time, you're going to look stupid. It's going to happen. I look stupid frequently. Waste time. I don't know if anything's a waste if you're putting something out there into the world in some way, shape, or form. And I'm not saying you have to start a YouTube channel, but you know, even if you make sculptures, like that's something out there in the world, someone else buys it, and there you have it. Your risk isn't failure, it's dabbling. Yep, that's me, 100% guilty of that. Spreading your focus thin and ending up with half-built bridges to nowhere. That's why we finish these videos. All right, so now I'm talking more with ChatGPT because I want its help to, let's clarify. So, okay, here's where I choose the prompts from this almanac. Here we go. Okay, so let's say I want to do the prompts from this almanac. It reminds me of wisdom I received from Ben Franklin, Charlie Munger, two of my heroes. So I'm asking it for visual, audio, and writing techniques to attract audience for a podcast, YouTube videos, and blog posts and Substack. I was a little bit ambitious with that. I think we can get to a podcast and Substack in the future. I don't think that's an impossible goal, but I think building the audience here on YouTube and having people see my face and get acquainted with what I'm all about is going to be the best possible start. Prompt experiments. What happens when you prompt GPT like Marcus Aurelius? Turn it into a challenge video. I do want to do more of those. That's on the way. That's in the works. Kinetic text and smart B-roll. Like animated stuff. And not so much into that. Mixed screen recordings with handwritten notes on paper. I don't know that we need that necessarily either. Mini-series concepts, Franklin versus GPT, historical wisdom against AI, Promptsmith in the wild, how they change your work life. We already kind of did that with fatherhood. We're going to be doing that a bunch of different ways too. So, you know, 2 out of 4 listed ideas being good ideas for the visual techniques, I think is pretty solid. So kudos to ChatGPT for that. Challenge is create a video that uses no narration, only visuals and AI-generated voiceovers. That is also in the works. I think that's a good one. Day in the life of a promptsmith, that's also in the works. Debate between 2 characters using voice clones or text-to-speech. I really would love to hear a debate between somebody like Charlie Munger and like Bill Walton or something, like just somebody very spacey and out there, and then Munger. So that's pretty cool. All right, well, that's useful. So cost breakdown, optimized for frugality. Time investment for YouTube, it's saying each episode's an hour and a half. Typically on these videos, I put in more time than that, but it doesn't take me a lot longer than that. I'll say that because I've developed a system for this and I have a lot of experience and background in video production and film editing. So in that sense, you know, that's fine. Cost breakdown, Canva design assets. Love Canva, by the way. I didn't know all that AI could do within Canva. I was way late to the game on that, but it's absolutely huge and super helpful. CapCut Audacity for editing. I actually prefer, so I edit using LumaFusion, and that's been really helpful. The goal isn't to go viral. The goal is to go useful. Viral fades. Internalize this, Josh. Viral fades. Utility compounds. All right, this project, if kept simple, honest, and wise, can outlast the trend cycle and grow into a real body of work. Wealth may follow. Reputation definitely will. I like that. Yeah, then I went down a bit of a rabbit hole with it, asking if there's like humorous YouTube channels that are similar to this one. Didn't find a whole lot. I wanted to research the quote-unquote competition just so I know like what other people are doing and what I should be mindful of. I don't know too many people who are trying to learn AI and just as a way to enhance different aspects of their lives while being like very conversational and not all like tech expert. Like, that's not me. So I'm just gonna be me. I'm gonna learn, follow my interests and what would benefit my life. And if others want to go on the journey, what the hell? Come along, you know. A content calendar for me. One thing I do like about ChatGPT in particular is it really does, this annoys some people, but it tries to go above and beyond. Like, if at the end of almost every response I've noticed, there's, would you like me to do this, this, and this too? It's like the eager beaver secretary who just wants to, you know, get a raise. But it works. So yeah, that's it for this episode of the Promptsmith's Almanac. Just prompting my way to what the Promptsmith's Almanac YouTube channel would ultimately become. The nuts and bolts of creating the channel itself didn't take very long. A lot of it was just kind of arriving at, like, okay, I want some kind of AI venture. What is it? What's it going to look like? How are we going to get there? And I was able to work through it through, you know, 5 or 6 strategic prompts with ChatGPT. So that's it for this episode, and looking forward to catching you all on the next one.